It is 3:01, so in the interest of everybody's time, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the April meeting of the DuPage ROSC Council. My name is Jared Burden. I am the DuPage ROSC coordinator. Thank you so much for being here. Let's start up with a few reminders before we get into some of the content of the meeting. Please make sure that you are muted if you're not talking, so we can kind of cut down on any interruptions. If there's something you would like to talk about during the meeting, you can put up your little digital hands or during the portion of the meeting where we talk about organizational updates. So you're free to chip in during that time, or if you have questions for our guest, but otherwise just make sure we're muted. We are recording today's meeting like we always do. That's so if anybody ever misses it, we put those up on our YouTube page, just giving everybody the heads up that we're recording. And then also, if you could, and if you haven't already, could everyone please put their name, organization, if that's applicable, in the chat, and then maybe like an email address or way to contact you. So that's kind of the way that we take attendance at these meetings. But not only that, it's turned out to be a really great way to make connections through here, as far as working on collaborations and other things like that. And we'll talk a little bit later about some more ways we can do that through things like our WhatsApp group, which we'll get an update on here in a little bit. So I'm going to share the screen so we can kind of go over some things that are coming up here. All right, so just to give a preview of what we're going to be talking about today, I'm going to talk here after this a little bit about some of the meetings or trainings that are coming up ROSC related. So we'll get a preview of a couple of those things. There's some really cool ones that are coming up in April and May that we're really excited to tell you guys about. I'm going to throw it to Danny in a little bit for a few minutes to talk about the WhatsApp referral group we started. It is going strong. I think we're up to 35 plus people, and there's a lot of really cool referral work that's being done through that. So we're going to let Danny kind of fill us in on that, and also how to join that if you would like to. Then we're going to be welcoming Alison Paul, who's the VP of Community Conservation at the Conservation Foundation, to talk a little bit about the Nature RX initiative, trying to improve wellness of all kinds through the use of the outdoor spaces in DuPage County. And I'll talk a little bit about how myself and some other ROSC members went and did a preview of that this week, which was pretty amazing. So we're happy to have her. We're also going to talk to Sam Thean, who is the coordinator for the DuPage Recovery Community Organization. So without having to throw too many more acronyms at people, we're just going to start calling that DERCO. So DERCO is going to be like the brother or sister program to the ROSC. And we've already started with that. There's a lot of stuff that's been going on through ROSC. It's actually going to be filtered over to DERCO. And so we'll kind of give you a heads up on what we're doing, what are some of the programs and services we're offering coming up. So we're happy to let everybody know about that. Then also at the end, we have all of our organizational updates. So if there's projects or events or collaborations or whatever, or even needs that you or your organization has, we'll have time to go over those as we get a little bit closer to the end. So a couple of things coming up. We do have our ROSC presentation series. So this is separate. This is separate from the ROSC meeting we're at now. So the presentation series, this is Zoom only, by the way, is an hour a month where we get a presentation that digs in a little bit deeper than the time we get together during these ROSC Council meetings. And usually about topics in recovery, substance use, mental health that are kind of interesting or cutting edge or current. And we're really excited for this one coming up on the 26th. So Bruce Seawick, who's been a great ally to ROSC, not only ROSC, but just the recovery community in the surrounding counties, who's over at College of DuPage, previously at the SHARE program, Light and Family Service, is going to be doing his presentation about psychedelics. So what have we learned from the psychedelic renaissance, and also how those are being used for treatment of mental health and substance use disorder. I got a chance to see this presentation a couple of months ago when he did it for a local library, and it was phenomenal. So as soon as that was over, I emailed him to ask if he'd do it for us. So if you've been through a Bruce presentation before, he's second to none with the knowledge. The stuff's always really good and entertaining. So we hope you can join us for that one. So that's on Wednesday, April 26th at 10 a.m. on Zoom. So all this stuff is usually sent out in my emails or on the website. And I'll direct you to how to get to those two here in a little bit. So for the next ROSC Council meeting, so as always, ROSC Council meetings are on the second Wednesday of every month at 3 p.m. So next month, we're kind of doing a regional ROSC roundup. I didn't mean to have 3 R's like that. I don't like doing that, but that's how it turned out. So we as DuPage ROSC are in what the state refers to as Region 2. So in addition to DuPage, we're also in Region 2 with Lake County, Winnebago County, and Will and Grundy are together as a ROSC. And we've got a chance. We've been fortunate enough to be asked to be mentors for the other ROSCs in our region, which is a huge honor. And so myself and Danny have been doing that mentor work, for the past few months. And it's been really cool because there are so many really cool recovery communities that are sprung up in the area. And so it's really important for us to kind of know what's going on in these surrounding areas. I feel like sometimes we get siloed and we kind of only focus on our own county, and we can really lose track of what's going on around us. So it was always our goal when we took this position as a mentor to kind of look at our region up here in Northern Illinois as like one big regional system of care. And so at the next ROSC meeting, we're going to have representatives from those other ROSC come talk for a few minutes each about the history of their ROSC, kind of what they're working on, and then ways that we can get involved in what they're doing and be supportive of what they're doing the same way they've been supportive for us. So we're excited about that. I'm also going to mention, we're going to go a little bit more in depth with it here later in the meeting. We're also having that DURCO kickoff meeting attached to the ROSC meeting. So the ROSC meeting usually goes from 3 p.m. to 4. DURCO is going to be shorter. DURCO is just going to be from 4 to 4:30. You're welcome to stay if you'd like. We know some people can't always stick around for that long, but the RCO meeting is going to be basically buttoned onto the end of the ROSC meeting. And we'll talk a little bit more with Sam, who's the coordinator, about that a little bit later. But we really hope that you can make it for that. I am so happy to announce to everybody what our next item drive is. So if you've been coming to the meetings for a bit, you know that every so often we do these drives. In the winter time, we did a winter coat drive to donate to People's Resource Center in Wheaton. And then we also connected with People's Resource Center for a sock drive. That was a couple of months ago. So the new drive has just kicked off, and I'm actually looking at a pile right over here that has already been donated of diapers. So Teen Parent Connection is a really great organization out here in DuPage, and we kind of talked to them about what their needs are. And diapers. Diapers and baby wipes are kind of an evergreen need for them, but especially sizes 4, 5, and 6. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't know anything about diapers or diaper sizes. I'm just going on what they told us, but we are happy to take any types of donations. So we're going to keep this donation going basically until a little bit after the next ROSC meeting. We'll give it a solid month. But if you would like to donate, you can contact me. My email address is up there. Or if you're out and about and you have them and you want to drop them off, you can drop them off up at Serenity House as long as it's like kind of during business hours. So if you need that address, let me know. I can put it in the chat later too. But yeah, I can't explain how awesome the last few drives have been. The amount of stuff we've been able to donate and kind of the selflessness of people who've been donating is just amazing. So I know we're going to do just as great for this one. So we're excited to kick that one off. One last reminder, through the DURCO, we now have a monthly virtual Narcan training. So on the 3rd Thursday of every month, we have a quick virtual Narcan training where we not only talk about how to administer Narcan, but also a little bit about fentanyl and maybe some current trends that we're seeing as far as overdosing and things looks like out here in DuPage. So we hope you can join us for that. First one was last month, turned out great. Now this is good for like beginners or just someone who wants to kind of brush up and keep current with what's going on. So we hope that you can join us for that. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. And I'm going to turn it over to my co-coordinator, Danny, who has just done a phenomenal job setting up and kind of doing the maintenance on this WhatsApp group we do. So I'm going to let him talk a little bit more about that and then what's been going on with that particular group. So go ahead, Danny.
Thank you, Jared. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here today. I wanted to give an update on the WhatsApp referral team. Again, thanks to everybody who's been a part of it. Our team is now over 30 members, as Jared was saying earlier. We've been joined by members of the following organizations over the last month: Northeast DuPage Family and Youth Services, also known as NEDFIS, Good Samaritan Hospital, Glendale Heights Police Department, and Cherry Hill Counseling. Over the last month, we received referrals for alcohol and other drug or substance use disorder Spanish assessments for DCFS in Spanish, teen and young adult support for sobriety that is not AA, sober living options, detox and residential treatment for substance use disorder, employment resources, and smart recovery. So I just wanted to share a couple examples of how our team receives a referral and how we work together to provide support and referrals. First one, the situation: detox for adult male using heroin and meth without insurance. So representatives from DuPage County Probation and Court Services, Greater Family Health, DuPage ROSC, and Serenity House provided resources and or made calls to St. Alexis, LSSI, Southwood Interventions, Haymarket, and Loretto Hospital. The next situation: a 14-year-old male with substance use disorder and youth care insurance and need of outpatient services in the Addison area. So representatives from Indiana Center for Recovery, Share, DuPage PADS, Rosecrans, and the Glendale Heights Police Department provided referrals for Rosecrans, Alexian Brothers, Silver Oaks, Chicago River Health, and Linden Oaks. So we all work together. Everybody jumps in when they can. Not everybody has to respond to every referral, but we all work very well together, making sure that happens. So if anybody is interested in joining, I'm going to put my email in the chat. And you can send me an email letting me know that you want to be part of the ROSC referral team on WhatsApp Messenger. Again, thank you to everyone who has joined and participated thus far, and those who are showing interest in joining. We look forward to continue filling the gaps and assisting our clients getting the services they need as soon as possible.
Thanks, Danny. I also want to reiterate that it's a very non-invasive group. Like, my main concern when we were starting to put together a referral group was like, I don't want people to feel like they're getting bombed, like with notifications and things like that. But it's been pretty non-invasive thus far. But we've been able to do a lot of really great work through it that I feel like people may have been slipping through some gaps previously that we've been able to help with. So if anybody's interested, email Danny. Before we get to our guest presenter, I want to introduce somebody else. Ben, can I give you this microphone? All right. So let me do a quick intro for this gentleman. As I mentioned earlier, so we have been doing that mentorship position for ROSC up in our region. And the person who's been like our mentor through that process is Ben Rudolph, who's a technical assistant for the state as far as working with the regional ROSCs. He's been super helpful. I just wanted to introduce him to everybody because the work that he's been able to do with us has been pretty crucial as far as having communications with the state and letting the state know what we're doing in this area. So I just want to let Ben say hi and maybe talk for a minute about himself and how he got into this crazy job.
I speak right into here. Is this all right? I don't know. Yeah. It's blue light.
Yeah, go for it.
Then it's on. Can everybody hear me? Somebody nod. Yeah. Thank you, Allison. Hi, my name is Ben Rudolph, and I am the Region 2 ROSC technical assistant. And basically, I guess, I've been in the recovery field for a long time. I am myself a person with lived experience. I have over 19 years consecutive weekends and holidays of sobriety and recovery. And that's, yeah, you don't need to clap. You don't need to clap, but that's okay. So, in all of my years of doing things like drug and alcohol counseling and recovery coaching, one of the things that I thought was really not a good thing in this field was that there was really no aftercare. There wasn't really any follow-up. There wasn't anything after, all of the treatment and everything. People kind of just jumped off a cliff and they were left on their own. And that's why I'm interested in the ROSC, because the ROSC has programming, referral services, so that people can come to these programs and pick something that suits them, something that's going to be helpful and efficacious to their recovery. So it's not somebody telling them you have to do this or you have to do that. Basically, I'm a grant funded position through Chestnut Health Services. And I am a liaison between the state, basically, and this ROSC Region 2. Region 2 is like most of the people I see up here, the collar suburbs of Chicago. So DuPage, DuPage County, Lake County, McHenry County, Kane County, Kendall County, Will and Grundy County, etc., are my people, my ROSC councils. And I'm really here not to direct anybody to do anything, but to support. So what I'm doing really is just trying to support you in whatever way I can. If you're having trouble with paperwork or deliveries or grants, I'm here to help with that. If you need suggestions of any kind as far as programming or referral services, I do research all day, and I've had a lot of years of experience. So in the nutshell, I'm really grateful to be here. I'm really proud to be partnering with Danny and Jarrett in the region, and doing everything I can to support, to help. If all I can do is stand at the door and wave and thank, I will do that. I am open and willing to do whatever is necessary to make sure that ROSC succeeds and grows into some RCOs or other really cool things. I know we got a lot of stuff going on, so I'm going to stop right there, because if you let me talk, I will talk your ear off. So I'll stop, and so much for having me here. And it's wonderful to be Page County council meeting in person. Man, you people are awesome. Gosh, man, that is so cool. It's so cool. And I got seats in the front row. All right. Thank you.
Ben, if I knew you would be happy waving, I would have put you on door duty. Greet everybody as you come in. Okay, thanks, Ben. We appreciate it. We appreciate you being here. I'm going to share the screen real quickly, just as an intro to our presenter here. And I'm going to let her share, obviously, after that. I don't know how many of you are members of the DuPage County ROSC Facebook group. That's also a good way to plug this real quick. If you're not, you should, because that's like the best way to kind of keep up to date with all the stuff that's going on. But one of our members, Zoe, posted this the other day. So this was on Monday. Me and some other ROSC members, so Danny, Felicia, Kiki, and Zoe, had the chance to go out to Churchill Woods, which is just maybe a mile away from Serenity House, to have a what is called forest bathing, which was led by Alison Paul, who's our guest. I'm not going to go into the explanation of that. I'll let her do it. She's the pro at it. But I do want to talk about kind of the effect it had on us, being out in this space. Like I said, we're about a mile away from our work, but when we were out there and we were kind of going through this process that she was leading us through, it felt like we were hundreds of miles away, right? It felt like we were kind of in our own space, in a peaceful place. And I felt like it really reflected well about how outdoor spaces and areas of nature in DuPage County can have an effect on both mental and physical wellness. So, Alison works with the Conservation Foundation, where she's the VP of community conservation, but the work's being done, the coalition is called Nature RX, which is, the aim is to just, improve wellness through outdoor activities in DuPage. And as a ROSC, we look at these things like we're trying to look at out of the box approaches or holistic approaches to what we can offer people who might have mental health and substance use issues in DuPage. And as a ROSC, we would be remiss if we didn't look at something like this, which is why we're excited through ROSC and DERCA to partner up with Nature RX to have events throughout the next year, specifically for people in recovery to go out and experience these things. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about these events when we get at the end of the presentation. But I just kind of wanted to show some pictures from us out at Churchill Woods on Monday, because it was such a phenomenal time. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to stop sharing first, and then I'm going to go ahead and introduce Alison Paul, and I'm going to let her talk a little bit about Nature RX and conservation and the work that she does, and how that might be a good approach for people with some mental health. So Alison, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you now.
Great, and hello everyone. Happy to be here with you. And I have one of my close colleagues here with me, Amy Phillips, who I want you all to meet as well. All my technology to work. Okay. You guys see my slides? Still see me? All right, let's do this. Make sure I don't tell me I'm starting. So my name's Alison Paul. I work for a place called the Conservation Foundation. Super excited to talk with you all here, those of you in the room, those of you online. Just such a fan of all the work that you guys are doing in the area and to learn more about it. Amy and I work in sort of the nature business, and we're really excited about the nexus of nature, health, and wellness and how we can work on that together. So this is where I go to work every day. We are located in Naperville on a 60-acre organic farm, vegetable farm, and things are out and popping right now, and it's a beautiful place to be. And we hope you all come and visit us when you get a chance. And I want to talk to you a little bit today about why is nature useful for health and wellness, and why is it actually helpful really like right now at this particular moment we're living, where to go close by, what should you do, and how you can get involved in finding more ways to build partnerships around nature, health, and wellness. I can't see everybody here, I can see some, but I'm just curious if anybody in the room or online has heard of the Conservation Foundation before. Like, hit your emoji hand or raise your physical hand. One in the room. So we have been based in DuPage County, and then now Will, Kane, and Kendall counties for 50 years. We're a nonprofit organization. We care about having healthy land, healthy water, so that we can have healthy communities. Our mission is about improving the health of communities and making sure we have healthy nature, healthy people. If you have been in a nature preserve in the DuPage area, there's a pretty strong chance we had something to do with helping protect it and get it into protection and over the course of our life here. And we also help people protect private land and other land and get it into green space, so that even as our area develops and there's more and more growth, we have safe and healthy green spaces so that we have clean air, clean water, and places to have fun. So part of our core belief here is that, you know, you can't have healthy people without healthy nature. We need clean water, clean air. We need places for the animals to thrive. And some of what I'll talk about here today, we need places for people to go outside to connect to themselves, connect to the people in their community, and connect to the place where we live. We're always in a place, so we want to be connected to it. So, and for us, it's really, regardless of people's background, where they live, any of that, everyone deserves access to clean air, clean water, and safe access to nature as a way to be healthy and happy. I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about why nature helps with that healthy and happy part and what you can do to get out there. So why nature? Why now? Well, you all probably need to hear this because it is a beautiful day outside and you decided to come inside on a screen and listen to me talk about nature instead of just playing hooky and like going for a walk. So I'm glad you're all here, but after this, please go outside. So we live at a time when life has moved indoors. I used to say that childhood had moved indoors, and I was like pre-pandemic, and let's just be real. At this point, our lives are full of screens, full of Zoom calls, and we've sort of gotten to this point where we're leading very sedentary and often isolated lifestyles. Our bodies are not adapted to sit down all day. I don't know if you're like me, I got a thing on my wrist that has to like just buzz to remind me I'm alive and I need to move every hour. You know, it's like our bodies need to move, and then more and more we're hooked on these screens. We're having a whole range of health impacts that aren't useful. Richard Louv coined a term called nature deficit disorder. This was to capture the trend of the increase in screen time. This is true even before COVID, and how little, especially children, have of time spent outside. And of the time that a lot of us have in the outdoors, it's often structured time. You know, our kids may go to sports or structured events that are very, you know, set things that they do. And this is a call for the need for with unstructured time in the outdoors, the ability to have the time to wander and to wonder about what is out there and around you. If you were like me, I grew up in an area where my mom was like, you are not allowed back in the house until it's dark, you know, and that's sort of a thing of the past. And so the idea that nature is essential for our health, our well-being, and our survival means we all got to work together to help get that reinstate that balance. This is my downer slide. So we're living these sedentary indoor lifestyles. We know obesity is up, especially for children. We have mental health issues, and there's a ton of things that contribute to the mental health issues that are facing youth today and people in general. But we know this is a really big trend, especially for young folks. And then social isolation, especially coming out of the COVID pandemic for older folks or folks who are immunocompromised, or, you know, I think for many of you working with folks in recovery and having family members who've gone through that process, seeing them have to sort of develop their new community if their old community isn't the community they need anymore. So really looking at the impact of making sure people are connected to each other, and nature provides a lot of good ways to do that. So why is this important right now? Well, research is really showing what I think a lot of us have intuitively known for a long time, which is you feel calmer and better once you spend a little time with some fresh air. And I'll just run through a few of some of the health benefits that they're starting to have a lot more data around, and we could talk for hours and days about this. These two books here on the side are both really good at distilling a lot of the research that is out there on this. But what we found is that time in green spaces or forests can really help with the lowering of stress hormones, of people's cortisol levels. And that there's greater parasympathetic nerve activity, and that overall just a balancing of our nervous system. One study that I thought was particularly of interest, they studied people who walked in a forest versus walking in sort of an urban area. The idea being in a forest, you have a sort of a passive fascination, you're getting all the benefits of being in the natural area. When you're in an urban area, you're still thinking you're walking, but you still have to think, oh, is it safe to cross the street? Who's that person over there? I don't really like squirrels. What is that squirrel doing? Like you're still in your head and a little bit worried there. They found that there was significant decreases in cortisol levels, the sympathetic nerve activity, blood pressure, heart rate, all of those went down if you walked. But if you walked in a forest atmosphere, it was significantly more in terms of the things that happen there. And I'm sure I have more healthcare professionals in the room in some ways to say this is like the real basic idea, right? We can't be in that fight or flight stance all the time. We live in a time when people talk about toxic stress, where people, our nervous system is being triggered and we aren't being eaten by tigers or bears or whatever, having to worry about those as much. But with the influx of sensory input all of the time, it's very often we see folks that their nervous system is out of balance, and nature can help balance it, and especially provide that time for the rest and digest, which is so important to all of us. So we can lower stress, balance our nervous system. They have many that show immediate lowering of heart rate and blood pressure, which has been very useful. There's this really cool one that I like, has to do with your immune system. So when you walk through a forest, you might notice a smell. That smell of walking under a pine tree or something like that. What you're breathing in at that time is something called phytoncides. Now, these are kind of like the essential oils. They're airborne essential oils. They're chemicals that the tree is emitting, the way that trees can help communicate with each other. And these are antibacterial, antifungal. They help the plants fight disease. And when you are in and walking around those trees, just as all of our human ancestors have done over a long amount of time, they've been able to measure that it triggers something called your natural killer cell. This is a white blood cell that helps get rid of tumors, to attack viruses. One study I found really interesting on this, they had a group of people that went out, I think it was 3 times a week, 3 hours a day, not that we all have time for that, and they studied how much it could activate and increase in their natural killer cell growth in that time. And what was interesting is that not only did it substantially increase the natural killer cell in their body, that it stayed at that elevated level for a longer amount of time. Then they did the same thing in more of like an urban park. So it was a green space, but not a forest, and found that it still gave a bump, but that bump didn't last as long. So it's a kind of a really cool way to think about just being near trees actually is very beneficial to our immune system. And the last one I wanted to talk about is attention restoration. I don't know about you, in the pandemic, it was very clear to me that, you know, if I had a days full of Zoom meetings, if I didn't go for a walk in between a few of them, I wasn't going to catch any information coming in. This is the idea that mental fatigue, concentration can be improved by time being in nature or even looking at images of nature. And the idea here is that when you're in nature, there's something I call like a soft fascination. It's that, oh, wow, I never saw a daffodil that looked like that. What is that doing? I wonder what that is. And before you know it, you're out of your head that was fixated on something, and you're outside of your, you know, and you're thinking and you're wondering, and you've got that wow moment that is kind of inspiring. And so the idea being that it provides those ways to kind of draw us out of our heads and our screens in such a way that we can then concentrate better and restore our attention. I've spent a lot of time with kids in the woods over my career, and I got to say, this is something that most of the teachers we work with often comment on, how students can concentrate so much better when they get back in the classroom after time in the outdoors. And then again, we could talk about this for a very long time about all the things that are really positive for different particular audiences around time in the outdoors. So if you guys would like more resources on that, we're happy to funnel you to any of those as well. But suffice to say, good for everybody, helpful, useful. And we wanted to talk a little bit about, okay, well, where should you go and what do you want to do when you get there? Well, many of you are, lucky to be in the area. It means you're very close to a wide range of forest preserves. So even if you don't work on a farm or, aren't enmeshed in flowers like I am here, you can find that local park or local forest preserve. I do think that open lands, get outside map, which I've put up here, this is sort of a clearinghouse for all of the places. So instead of having to know, well, is that Kane County or Will County or DuPage County and where to go, this is sort of a clearinghouse regionally for all of the different natural areas that might be of interest to you. DuPage Forest Preserves are great resources, just wonderful trails and a wide slate of activities. And they also have a lot of programs that they offer that are cheap and accessible and a good way to get outside, especially if you want a structured way to get out and don't feel comfortable going on your own. And I think, some of us, I showed you a picture at the beginning, there was like a guy laying on a rock, and there's this idea sometimes that when we go into nature, we should go by ourselves and be quiet and trek. And I just got to say, that's not true. If it works for you, go for it. But a lot of folks, being in the outdoors by yourself is terrifying. That sounds terrible. There's a whole range of what we call affinity groups in the outdoors that are springing up nationally to give people more community in the outdoors. So Out in Nature is one locally. It's LGBTQIA+ folks who do a wide range of outdoor activities together. Just get outside, build community, build that connection. Outdoor Afro has a local chapter with lots of events, and Latino Outdoors as well. So for folks of color and others, it can be a great way to find other folks who want to spend some time outside together. And what are you going to do when you get out there? Well, if you don't, there's many things to do in the outdoors. And Jarrett, thanks for talking a little bit about our experience on Monday. We'll talk a little bit more about what forest therapy is. But It can be very mindful and relaxing experiences are good for you. It could be physical activities. It could be biking and yoga, all those types of things that folks like to do outside. Things that are sensory experiences are particularly good for nervous system balancing, and because it's a way of kind of tapping into different parts of your brain. So that is something I really encourage a lot for folks to do. Gardening is a really great way to do this, especially because it can be so close to home. We have different ways of promoting themed or focused walking or hiking opportunities. Adventure recreation is like, it sounds like the biggest, coolest, get out there and climb a mountain. We don't have any mountains, but we do have a lot of good water-based adventure sports in the area. They have found, they've done some studies for folks like with PTSD around adventure or recreation. And part of what you're looking at is like, if you're going down rapids or you're going fast down, a mountain bike or whatever it is, you do not have time to think about anything else other than focusing on that moment, being in that moment and not crashing. And I know for folks that can be a really positive thing and can have a lot of really good mental health benefits for folks who may be really in their head a lot of the time. Self-guided, go by yourself, go with groups, many, many more. And I'll just say, this is too many words to say the fact that I think some people, if you go out to nature, they think, well, I have to learn all the plant names. I got to know where to go, exactly what to do. And I'm here to tell you, if you're looking for a connection to nature and health benefits, actually, that's not going to do it. Don't worry about the names of anything. If that works for you, that's great. But what they found is that experiences that give people contact, that are meaningful, they draw out some form of emotion or compassion, are the things that help people feel connected, not a lecture on why pollinators are important. We can talk to you about that if you want to, but that is not what is going to build that connection necessarily. So we have a wide range of different things that we can provide for folks and partner with folks or point you in the direction of. And our hope is that these can all be resources for getting people outdoors. And I'm going to just make a quick plug here for forest therapy because it is such a unique and special experience that I think that folks can have. And there's a lot of really good resources to do forest therapy in the area. I'm a forest therapy guide, and there's actually quite a few in the DuPage County and regionally. So this is a practice where folks go into the outdoors. You don't have to learn the plant names. You aren't doing a big hike, but it's about cultivating that healthy relationship between humans and the more than human world, nature. We see nature like it's separate, like there's no nature. We don't exist without it, so we're kind of part of it. And it can go anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 hours, depending on what type of session you would like. And it's really about activating your senses in the outdoors in a way that you can get all of those health benefits that we talked about before. But really at its core, it's about connecting to yourself, the place, and the people around you and creating that sense of community. So we'll share these slides afterwards with folks if they want to sort of know a few other resources to check out. But one resource I really want to draw your attention to is the Park RX America tool. Going outside isn't going to solve everybody's mental health problems, but it can be a really nice supplement. This is a system in which we have put in all of the regional, all the DuPage-based natural areas are in this system. So if you want to go in, and for the folks that you work with or for yourself, write a nature prescription that says, I, Alison Paul, I'm going to go to Churchill Woods and I am going to, forest bathe or do yoga or go hiking. How often would I do it and what's that duration? It's a way to kind of get that motivation out there. And this is something that doctors can use through this system as well. I also want to call your attention to our Take a Hike Challenge, which happens in the fall. We're happy to be a partner on this program, and it's a great way to get folks outside and connected to each other. And then part of what we're trying to do here is to say, we're happy to get folks outside, but we need everybody to talk to each other and help each other find this nexus of nature, health, and wellness. So, and the one side of your screen here are your open space parks professionals. I call those your nature nuts. Those are the people like me who get to like wear overalls to work. And then you've got your health and wellness people and affinities, social support groups, etc. We bring them all together and we say, hey, what works for you? What is the type of outdoor programming that will help with your particular audience? How can we make that happen? And how do we have some of that sort of spark and seed money to get those activities going? So Amy will be leading this meeting that will be happening next week on the 20th. If anybody's interested in joining that group, we do some in-person work where we get to actually do these things together. And then we have a whole slate of programs happening with ROSC DuPage, but then also other partners throughout the region. And hopefully I didn't go too far over my time here. I'm really excited to have the partnership with you all. I'm happy to answer any questions. Amy and I are happy to answer any questions or have a discussion around any aspects of this that might be of interest to you all.
Thanks, Alison. I want to second the notion to go to those meetings. We went to a meeting and we got connected with a group that raises chickens in Naperville, and I was super excited. I used to live in Naperville and I wanted a chicken for the longest time, and I kept getting told that the laws wouldn't allow me to have them, but I learned that the laws allow you to have chickens in Naperville now. So that's pretty exciting. But yeah, great farms, cool people. I just wanted to plug that Nature RX Coalition meeting. Does anybody have any questions or comments or anything, either online or in person? I see a hand up. Go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, just real quick. Hey, Allison, thank you very much. Your presentation was amazing. And I can completely testify to the fact that getting out somewhere and being by yourself for a little while, I just recently came back from Arizona. My daughter lives out near Florence, and she just got recently married a couple of weeks ago. And I had the opportunity to be sitting out in the middle of the desert underneath all the stars in the sky. And I had so much time to think about things, and it was so beneficial to me and into my recovery and stuff like that. It just made me think, actually how small I am as a big speck in this whole thing. But it is truly amazing. Everybody should get out there at least once a month and do something. It'll help you in any way.
Yeah, and I think it's really important that we have sort of like that daily dose or that weekly dose of nature, and then you need those special big awe moments. And so that's great. You made it out to Arizona. Yeah. Both are so important to it. So that's great. Thanks for sharing.
Anybody else or anybody here in person? I just want to comment that personally in my own recovery, I'm a person that had kind of a complicated relationship with the outdoors, and I think that's mostly due to the fact that I lived outdoors, not by choice, for a number of years. And so that was more of like a survival issue. So to look at the outdoors is not an adversarial thing, but to look at the outdoors as a healing thing. Took time, and it took actually going out and doing those types of things. And like Richard said, it took sometimes solo trips, right? It took trips out into the woods and mountainous areas and really finding the best way to commune with this stuff. But I think if you're looking for an entry into this type of stuff, the guided way is really, really helpful. And yeah, we're excited. The first event, everybody, through ROSC RCO and Nature RX will be in late June. And I'm going to create the flyer and everything. We'll get more info for everybody on that location and everything as we work that. But that's going to be open to anybody who wants to come out and experience that stuff. So we're going to have a few different events throughout the year. So we're excited to get everybody out there and to do this type of stuff. So Alison, thank you so much. That was such a great presentation. We're very, very happy to have you here.
Thanks so much for having us. And
so did we put the website up there, or they could just go to conservationfoundation.org?
Yep.
Okay, excellent. All right. Well, where's my next guest? Yeah, let me give you this mic. And if you want, you can sit in front of there. Is it on? I don't know.
Is it on?
Is the light on? Yeah, you're good. So I want to introduce my next guest. She's not really a guest. I work with her. Ben's being chivalrous. So Samantha Thean. So Sam works with us not only here at Serenity House, but she is helped by being the main coordinator for DURCO, for the Recovery Community Organization. So she's done a ton of work getting some of this stuff off the ground as far as like what the programming's looking like and what the meetings are going to be. And she's kind of here to like explain a little bit more and listen, there'll be more questions. We have been trying to figure out the difference between ROSC and RCO, and I think the state has too for a little while. So we're working on defining that message, but Sam's here to talk a little bit more about RCO. And while she's doing that, I'm going to pull up those flyers again for the first RCO meeting, which is next month. So Sam, go right ahead.
All right, thanks, Jarrett. Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about DURCO's mission first, which is to support long-term recovery for people with substance use and co-occurring mental health issues by partnering with other organizations in the community to provide peer-supported recovery services. And so the big question is, what is the difference between ROSC and DURCO? And really, I think the easiest way to describe it would be that ROSC is more of the big picture approach to recovery, where DURCO is really the field work or the services that carry it out. So part of what we focus on is education and prevention, also hosting events such as maybe sober activities like music concerts. We will be taking over all of the in-person and online Narcan trainings. We offer recovery support, coaching services, family and grief support. And as we get more established in the community, we're really excited about the potential of providing the sober activities and the connections for people. So if anyone can stay next month, May 10th, immediately following the ROSC meeting, it'll be about 30 minutes. And Kathy H, recovery coach Kathy H, she'll be speaking about her experience as a recovery coach, and then some of the needs, some of the barriers that the recovery community experiences. And so it'd be great if you can stay on. That's fantastic. But if not, we get it. It's, an hour and a half can be a bit long. And then just a reminder, we're going to be doing, we started last month. It's our monthly Narcan trainings. These are virtual. You can go to our website at DuPageROSC.org, and you just go to Narcan training and you'll find the link. It'll be the same every month. And that is the third Thursday at 3:30. So hope you can join us.
Yeah, I would like to emphasize the word community and recovery community organization. So at those RCO meetings, we really want to focus on people who have lived experience, people who are in recovery, and kind of highlight their work that they've done, not only in the community, but on themselves. And really look as for the ROSC and RCO to work together to kind of create that culture of recovery in DuPage County. Like Sam said, there's a lot of stuff we've been doing kind of under the ROSC banner because out of necessity. But now it's going to be shifting over to the RCO. Harm reduction, like she says, a huge part of what we do. If you come to our meetings here in person, you always leave with Narcan or fentanyl test strips. We're out in the community doing a ton of Narcan trainings. We are in the works for putting Narcan vending machines out in the community right now too. So there's a lot of stuff going on that we're excited about. So yeah, join us for that one if you can. Thanks, Sam. You can flip that off. Did Felicia come back in? She's still out there. All right. I'm gonna stop sharing for a second. So this is usually the time. I got a few more minutes here. This is usually the time I make for anybody who has organizational updates. So if anybody's got new programs they're running, or if they've got meetings they want to promote, or events, or whatever else, feel free. Or if this is your first time at this meeting, you just want to introduce yourself and talk about where you're coming from, you can do that too. So I'm gonna open it up here for anybody who wants to go, and not all at once.
Hi, Jarrett. I have an announcement.
Go right ahead.
So this is Nicole Jansen with Recovery Centers of America. Hello, everyone. I just wanted to let everyone know that we are going to host an open house at our facility in St. Charles on April 27th. Some of you may have gotten an email flyer about it, but I'll post it in the chat as well. It's open to anyone and everyone who would like to come and take a tour of the facility. We're going to have a couple of guest speakers and some light refreshments. So, you know, anyone who would like to go, we'd love to see you there.
I'm going to be there. I missed that.
You
There
did
wasn't
say
one.
that.
There wasn't one last year, right? I went to one a couple years
Correct.
ago, I think. So yeah.
Correct. Not last year.
Let me tell you, RCA puts out some really good food. I can verify that from the last time I went. Great food. That's not the only reason to go, obviously, but good food. Thanks, Nicole. Anybody else have an event or program or anything else they would like to promote? That means here in person too, if you want. Nobody? Nothing? Felicia's not back yet? Okay. All right. Well, I had one more person to promote, but she's actually being interviewed by the Daily Herald, so that's more important right now. So we'll let her finish do that. I can give you guys 9 minutes of your time back unless anybody has anything else they want to promote. Otherwise, going once, going twice. Sold. All right. I want to thank again Alison from Conservation Foundation for presenting. If anyone's interested in the recording of this meeting, it'll be up on the YouTube hopefully by Friday. And then you guys can share that. And then all this stuff goes up on our socials. So if you haven't joined our Facebook group yet, please do that. Or you can go on to DuPageROSC.org or DuPageRCO.org. And just a reminder that the next DuPage ROSC meeting, Wednesday, May 10th at 3 p.m. And that's also going to feature that kickoff meeting for DURCO at the end. So I'm going to hang on here for a minute if anybody has any other questions. Otherwise, go enjoy the beautiful day and go spend some time outdoors.